From the Christian point of view, when Jesus said he is the truth, the way and the life, I just want to give you 4 things that I believe he answers in an individual life and in society. Number 1, that the problem is not out there, the problem is in here. The problem is not out there, the problem is in here. From the simple to the complex, from wielding power to block a bridge that strands tens of thousands of people for 3-4 days in a shameless act of wielding power, to all that may go on the streets of some city in the marketing of the human body. My daughter, who's probably listening now, she works in the rescuing people in the sex trafficking industry of this world, with children with AIDS, and in the prostitution industry. If you've seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire, that very street in Mumbai, my daughter Naomi has been involved in rescue work and the change of lives. If you hear the stories of some of them, and in my office I have a picture of these children in that home for which Naomi had helped build a rescue place. Little kids, and you look into their eyes and see what a wayward life has done. Unbelievable what a wayward life has done. From the simple to the complexity of expressing our egos and ourselves, Jesus said, the problem is in you and in me. It's not out there. The second thing it says ultimately is that the heart is in need of forgiveness and redemption. You know, I know a little bit of a buzz has gone all around because I guess my story was told on my bed of suicide and so on, and I'm sorry if any people are hurt with that. These are questions that are very difficult to answer, very difficult to answer. It took me 40 years after my attempted suicide, my wife will tell you, to even talk about it. My dad would talk to her because I said, I really don't want to talk about it, Dad. And out of respect for family and friends and the memories of departed people, nobody would understand that better. And there's never a simple answer to these things, by the way. Never a simple answer. I can only speak for myself. I was empty on the inside and shame-filled on the outside. The answer does not come in being better educated. As Dale Moody said, if a man is stealing nuts and bolts from a railway track and you want to educate him, at the end of his education, he will steal the whole railway track. We don't like the word sin, so let me give you a new concept. It's violation of purpose. It's violation of purpose. God, in His Word, tells you and me life is sacred. Your life is sacred. I will not violate it. Your freedom is sacred. I will not violate it. You have that prerogative. And the sacredness of life, the violation of purpose, and the answer to cry for Christ to me is that forgiveness through His grace, not through my works, because morality is not my only problem, ultimate problem. My ultimate problem is that what morality alone cannot change. I need that forgiveness and that grace that Christ alone gives, and the redemption. And then He gives me the hope that life does not end with these 80 years and 10. Life goes beyond the grave. Those are the teachings that Jesus gave. And you know what? I'll close with this illustration. I just finished this book, and I was telling my colleague Matt, who travels with me, when we got off our last flight, I said, you know, Matt, when you're coming down on that plane and you hear babies crying because of the pressurization change and all of that, I always think of one story. Some years ago, we were flying, and there was a baby in the arms of its mother, screaming in the last 20, 25 minutes of the descent. And obviously the ears were just hurting very badly. And the mother was just trying her best to help this infant, to no avail. And of course, everybody is upset by the screaming child. I turned around just to take one look to see how the mother was even handling it. And when I looked at the mother, I saw tears running down her face, holding on to the baby. How does the mother explain to this baby that all going well in 25, 30 minutes, you'll be fine, that ear will not be hurting anymore? How do you explain that? I am not at all surprised that at the tomb of Lazarus, even though Jesus was going to raise him, he wept with the family. Because he understood the pain of death and separation, and completely difficult to explain to those of us locked into time. So how do I find my meaning? I find my meaning in the purpose for which I'm created, in that relationship with my Creator, recognizing the problem is not out there, the problem is in me, and I come to him for his grace and for his forgiveness. The truth of the matter is, you search for meaning, and I search for meaning. How do we find truth? Do we find it in sheer rationalism? Do we go to the empiricist and logical positivism? Do we go to the existentialist? Do we go to the postmodernist? Or does each one have something to contribute in this composite of the thing we call truth, till ultimately we find experience matters, objective truth matters, rationality matters, and what Augustine said, you have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they find their rest in thee. I want to thank you so much for being so gracious and kind and giving me your undivided attention. God bless you, and we'll be ready for your questions in a moment. Thanks so much.